Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Sue contacted me a couple months ago and asked if I could give a little presentation about the status of the Gold Ray Dam and what the county's doing with the Gold Ray Dam, that focus particularly on the history of the Gold Ray Dam and how it got to where it's at and what the current plans for the county are for this facility. The Gold Ray Dam, it actually started in 1902, and it was started by a couple of individuals, the Ray brothers. One was Dr. C.R. Ray, and then Colonel Frank Ray. And the Frank brothers had a lot of money. They were individuals of means, and they had a lot of ability to generate funds and finance. And they owned a bunch of large mines in the city. They were, where they made their money was in the mining industry. And they were running mines throughout the Gold Hill area primarily. And they wanted to increase the capacity of their mines and to make things more economical, process the ore and everything. They were doing that with steam power, and they had a desire to generate electric power. So they bought a piece of property down the Rogue River, where the current Gold Ray Dam is at, from an individual named Don Connor. And then they formed the Connor Water and Power Company in July 1902. And they actually raised funds on the New York Stock Exchange and everything else to generate the funding to go ahead and proceed with this project. They broke ground on the Gold Ray Dam in September of 1902 to do this, and they finished the Timber Crib Dam. There's actually two dams located on the site. They finished the Timber Crib Dam in December of 04. And I just got several photos kind of showing the area. This is a site showing where the Gold Ray Dam is located. It's located right where that headland's at. It goes across the river right there. And then photo, and then a few years later, again the same area. The Gold Ray Dam crosses right here. And the current railroad tracks are the same tracks that are today. It's where the dam is located at. You know, this is the time when they built this. They didn't need permits. They didn't need a lot of permission. They just, you know, if you had the means and the money and the desire, you know, you could go embark upon a project like this. And so they started in 1903. They advertised in the Mail Tribune for skilled laborers and skilled carpentry individuals. Paid them $3.75 a day to come work on the dam. And they started work. They had a lot of issues with constructing the dam. There was people that were opposed to the dam at that time, so primarily some fishermen were opposed to the dam. And they struggled with it at times, and it took them a little less than 2 years to complete the project. One of the interesting things about this is if you read a lot of the history on it, this was a huge deal for the city of Medford and for the Rogue Valley. And the railroad, the tracks that we showed there, went right into downtown Medford. And individuals, the weekends and everything else, would dress up in their nice clothes and they'd go visit the dam. And it was quite an event where throughout the whole construction of the dam, they would have visitors to the site to be looking at the site and seeing the goings on. This is the beginning of the Timber Crib Dam. Right there, they keyed into the bedrock and started building the Timber Crib Dam. During construction, they faced several obstacles, one of which is the dam was taken out on at least 2 different occasions through high water in the spring or the winter. And then they also had one act of sabotage where somebody actually put a charge in the dam and blew up a portion of it. And they struggled to get the thing completed, but they did eventually finish it. They finished it in December of 2004. We're not sure if this photo, which shows the hole in it, if that's just the continuing work on it, or if it's actually a damage from one of the floods. We're not sure what that is, but you can see a hole in the dam there, the Timber Crib Dam. One of the things, if you just go back one photo, you see the flows in the river are very low. And they built this thing primarily during the summertime. And this is before Lost Creek Lake, and Lost Creek Lake largely regulates the flow in the Rogue River. And back in this time, you'd have summer flows that were extremely low. I mean, you know, a quarter of what we see today in the river for the summertime. So they had very low flows, and they were able to get in the river and do a lot more than you do today. As I noted, they finished it in December of 2004. They built the Powerhouse and generated electricity at the same time that the dam was completed. So as soon as the dam was completed, the power was being generated, and the project was going forward. They, at that time in 1904, the city of Medford was generating all their power through a steam generator. And upon completion of this dam, the city of Medford contracted with the Ray brothers, who formed, again, the Condor Water and Power Company. And then this dam provided all electrical power for the city of Medford. Just a few photos showing shortly after the dam was completed. You can see the timber crib dam here. It's built on an arch. This is the powerhouse, and it's primarily the same powerhouse that's there today. There have been alterations to it, but it's largely the same facility that was there today. Still truss bridge, and that truss bridge lasted all the way to the 64 flood, and the 64 flood took out that bridge. You have the forebay here, so the water enters the dam. The power house area here, the forebay runs through the powerhouse, turning the turbines, which in turn turn the generators and generates the power. And then it leaves on the tail race here. There was a fish ladder located right here on this side that remained throughout the existence of the timber crib dam, and that was later replaced by the concrete ladder that will show. Just some early postcards from 1910 showing the powerhouse, and again, we'll see some photos. This is largely the same facility. This portion of the powerhouse has been removed. It's no longer there, and it was torn down in the mid-30s. It's an interesting facility, and this was the last rope-driven power generation facility in the United States. Basically, the water flows, the turbines are underwater all the time. This is the water level here. The water drops through, spinning the turbines, which have a long shaft here, attached to some large pulleys, with some ropes that go up, spin them, and then turn the pulleys up here, and that in turn, on a shaft, turns the generators. And I got a little better picture of that. Just some engineering drawings. These are the original 1906 drawings from the engineers that designed the power generation facility. So you can see again, the turbines are here. The water drops straight through, turns the shaft, and there's 20 ropes that are attached to the lower pulley and the upper pulley that spin that top shaft, which in turn turns the generators to produce the power. And just a picture of that. Some real interesting stuff in the literature that you read. Pacific Power, one of the biggest challenges that they had towards the latter stages of operating this facility was finding individuals that knew how to splice that rope. It's under a lot of tension, and it's a difficult area to work, and the ropes are about that big around. They're large ropes. And they joked in one of their bulletins that they had to find individuals that were half electricians and half sailors. The sailors are very good at knots and rope and everything, and they really struggled finding individuals that could maintain that facility. The facility was quite the goings-on. When the Ray brothers did this, they eventually transitioned out of mining and primarily into running a utility company. And the Condor Water and Power Company eventually turned in, actually I got a slide, I'll show that in a minute, but it turned into several things, but the brothers primarily got out of mining and just ran a power company. And on site here, this is the powerhouse facility with the retaining walls. They had a large retreat resort area kind of place. They called it the Gentleman's Club, and it was primarily as a place for guys to go hang out. They did a lot of hunting and fishing. And I guess like a fraternal organization or something else, but it was a very popular area, and they had a residence on the site as well.
Is that still there?
No, none of that's still there.
And the buildings are not there.
Those,
The recreation.
The buildings are there.
no, that's all there, but that's been torn down. That's been torn down. There's a water tower that's deteriorating up on the hill. That's about all that's left on the site. Several years after, 20 years after the completion of the dam is still in place, they had lots of problems with the dam leaking, and they really struggled throughout the history of the log crib dam to keep the dam sealed up. And they were constantly fighting leaks in the dam. And you'll see a photo in a minute. One of the things that they did is they trucked in tens of thousands of yards of sand and just dumped the sand behind the dam and keep trying to keep it plugged up so it would generate power.